The Boys season 5 just wrapped up, and I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't happy with the finale. But before I get into the terrible writing and all the bad choices they made, I want to point out the first 2 episodes because they were the first 2 truly good episodes of the season. And in the first 2 episodes, we get some really good stuff. Like, we already have a major character death and a lot of extra setup, which really had me hyped and excited for the rest of the season. And even with the setup, it didn't feel like filler. And the major character death was A-Train. And in my opinion, this is the single best death the entire season. Like, he completed his redemption arc, he protected his family, and he got a speedster moment. And then that last little jab at Homelander was just sent it all home. It was just perfect. But it kind of just stops there because the 3rd episode was just pointless. It was some new characters, teenage kicks that they could just kill off just to show the virus is dangerous. It was terrible. And in this whole new season, I couldn't care less about Starlight or Huey's relationship. I'm gonna be honest, their characters just weren't good. Like I didn't even care how the ending ended for them. They just were not compelling characters. All they did is mope around and cry. We're just gonna move on from this because there's nothing there. And on the other flip of that, we have Kimiko and Frenchie, and I was actually really excited for their relationship and where they were gonna take it now that Kimiko talks. And Kimiko talking was super funny, but it did kind of get annoying at times. But beside that, I really enjoyed it, and I thought their relationship was very good. And we'll get into what happens with Frenchie later on and Kimiko getting the abilities and all that. But with every good thing, it comes one negative, and Butcher has been like turned into just a complete joke this season. Like, when he fights Bombsight, he looks surprised when he gets thrown. Like, yeah, maybe he didn't know how strong Bombsight actually was, but Butcher isn't dumb. So whenever Bombsight grabbed his tentacles, he could have at least tried something instead of kind of just standing there and getting flipped on the ground and knocked out. It just seems like they don't understand power scaling, and that's kind of, in my opinion, like the first sign of that. Because Butcher should have expected a V1 soup just to be incredibly strong, and he shouldn't have underestimated him. And where's Ryan at? Because at this point, yes, I know I skipped a lot, but we are 6 episodes into the final season of the entire show, and Ryan has shown up once and then pulled an Oliver and just dipped for no reason. Like, he just got sidelined for the rest of the season. And the only upsides from this season I've seen so far is the Homelander and Soldier Boy dynamic have been phenomenal. Like, the back and forth and the writing between these characters has been very good and just great, apart from the kind of flip-flop Soldier Boy does between I love you, son, and I hate you, you're a freak, you know? The flip-flop there was kind of off, but I think it's still on par with Soldier Boy's character, so I think we're all good there. That was a standout this season. And then you get like Mother's Milk and Frenchie, who have been the only boys character I personally have given any fucks about the entire season. And I really hope Mother's Milk lives and gets to go back to his family, because if he doesn't, that would be kind of sad, even though at this point with all the characters, I kind of hope Homelander just wins and kills everybody anyway. And don't even get me started on the deaths of the 7 characters, because the only big losses we've seen so far up to episode 6 is 1, Firecracker, who actually went out in kind of a decent way, and she only died really because of her inability to stop trying to prove she cared for Homelander, because he literally gave her a chance. He literally gave her an out and she didn't take it. She couldn't help it. And then we get like Black Noir too, and his death was just complete bullshit. I'm gonna be honest. He could have flown up or tried something, because I mean, he's been shown not to be weak, and I guess we don't really know how strong the Deep is or how much of a good grip he had or whatever, but they could have done something with his character's death and not just had him sit there and die. Like, it was definitely the most lazy death of this entire season. Surprisingly, believe it or not, up to episode 6, it has been a pretty big miss, except for one thing, and I know everybody hates it because it was a setup for Vought Rising, but Bombsight as a character was badass, dude. Like, the way he fights and the way he propels himself and just his whole little like shtick, I just loved it. I thought he was awesome. I can't wait to watch Vought Rising because of it. And it also kind of helps that Soulja Boy is like already my favorite character. So getting those two in another show, I will definitely be watching and probably making videos on it here for you guys. And don't even get me started on episodes 7 and 8, because man, did they really just lose me with this ending. Like they lost me, I'm not gonna lie, because they kill Frenchie basically off screen. Like we see him crawling, and it turns out they literally removed the scene where Homelander puts a hole in his stomach, and I'm almost certain they only killed Frenchie because they wanted Kimiko to have the motivation with her new chest blast ability to go after Homelander and just be motivated to kill Homelander, which I've never been a fan of in any movie ever. I've never been a fan of a significant other just getting killed off purely for the character to have a motive. I think that's just lazy, because they literally have two animal-based characters sniffing each other's ass for what felt like 5 minutes in the episode before the last episode of the entire show, and it was just a complete waste of time and was only shock value. There was no value to this happening. There was no need for it. Nobody wanted to see this. And best of all, they couldn't even figure out a way to write Soulja Boy into turning on Homelander, so they just stuffed him back in the freezer box and gave his power to Kimiko, which they could have came up with something. I don't care what anybody says. Like, the fans need to start writing something. We gotta write a better finale than this. And man, oh man, I probably missed a lot in this video because I'm kind of just ranting, I'm kind of just rambling about it, but this brings me to the season finale, and it starts off showing Sister Sage antagonizing Kimiko to just see if her powers work, and that's it. That's literally it. Like, she gets her powers blasted out of her, and no, she doesn't just turn into a normal person, she turns into just comic relief. Like, she's not even just normal dumb or like normal human intelligence. Like, they made her super dumb, where like it's unbelievable. Like, you won't just be that dumb because you were super smart before. It was just lazy. And it wasn't even just Sage or anyone else. Another one of the dumbest deaths in this entire series has got to be Peak. I mean Deep. And before you say anything, let me cook, because he gets killed by an octopus in the ocean. And yes, they build towards this, but what gets me is that Starlight had literally no idea the ocean or the fish were mad at the Deep, unless they forgot to tell us about that too. But she still carried him and threw the guy who was the literal king of the 7 seas and threw him into the ocean. Like, you cannot make this up. And this may be a surprise to you, but I was actually entertained by the final fight. But that does not mean it was just good, because the creators literally just forgot about their own story or their power scaling, because I guess they just forget to explain why Kimiko can withstand Homelander's lasers now, because a few episodes ago Homelander just straight up cut her in half. Like, did she get Soulja Boy's durability from the stuff as well? We don't know, because they just forgot to explain it and they just forgot to tell us, along with a lot of other stuff I'll get into in a moment. Oh, and remember Ryan? Yeah, he finally shows back up in the final episode, and conveniently right in time to help Butcher fight Homelander, like for the final fight, only for Homelander to forget he's literally the Homelander, and he does nothing. Like, he just tries to run and gets pulled back, throws a few punches, lasers Kimiko, tries to fight, tries to fly away again. He doesn't do much. Like, he could have easily escaped. We've seen him fly faster, we've seen him hit stronger, we've seen him have more battle IQ. They just nerfed him completely and buffed up Butcher so they could get this final battle and end the show. Again, just lazy writing. And then his powers get removed. And speaking of his powers getting removed, Ryan and Butcher both also lost their powers. But before we get to Homelander, this brings me to two huge questions. Question 1, how does Ryan lose his powers if he's a natural born soup? Surely he would keep them since he wasn't injected with the V directly, unless he's hiding it to live a normal life. I don't know if that's it, but if it is, it was just a huge cop out. And question 2, once Butcher lost his powers, would he not start dying from the cancer again? Because if I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he only lived because he bonded with the Compound V parasite. But I'll give him this, the blast could have also blasted the cancer out of him as well. Again, a pretty big cop out instead of just solving the issue with better writing. And then you have the inevitable Homelander Homelander death, which I thought was hilarious. I thought it was completely in character. The moment he didn't have his powers and realized he was fucked, he turned into a complete wimpy crybaby. That's what I expected. I thought that was awesome. A lot of people hate it. It's in character. I'm sorry. And I haven't even talked about Butcher's death. And Butcher's death for me really was like the emotional high of the show. Other than Soldier Boy, up through the entire series since they came out, Butcher was always my favorite. And then Butcher's arc over the entire series, all leading back to Huey being the one to kill him. And I feel like this kind of had to be the way it went. Like, you couldn't make Butcher die a different way. Like, it kind of almost felt like they were always setting up Huey to be like his canary, where he brings Huey along for the purpose to kill him eventually because he knows he won't stop. But yeah, the final scene between Huey and Butcher was really the emotional highlight for me, and that kind of just wrapped the entire season up. Even though the 5th season was really bad, that final little ending moment was pretty good and I enjoyed that a lot. But even after the show ends, there are so many loose ends left open, and they set up like 3 more spin-offs along with the 3 they're already making, which is ironic because the whole thing about The Boys is they're making fun companies like Marvel just to go on and have a whole cinematic universe herself. It's pretty ridiculous. But the few things that I thought were interesting that they didn't wrap up is they show us that Stan Edgar takes back over as the CEO of Vought, basically resetting everything they did back to square one. And since Soups are still left and they're still around and he's back in control, yes, the public won't trust Vought anymore, but I would not be surprised if eventually down the line there will just be another Homelander. This isn't like a major dislike or anything, but why does Ryan go with MM? Like, I don't remember them ever actually talking or interacting in the show at all, and Ryan just got done saying how bad Butcher was and how much he didn't like him for the stuff he did, but then he goes and decides to live with MM, who was Butcher's like right hand man and agreed with him every step of the way. I don't think it makes much sense. Like, yes, I'm happy Ryan has somewhere to go and MM's back with his family. I love that, but the pairing just doesn't make sense based off what we've seen in the show previously. And this might actually end up being a pretty long video. I'm kind of just ranting. Hopefully it still makes sense in the edit, but if you enjoyed this video, stick around because we talk about stuff like this all the time. And as always, stay curious and keep the conversation going.